Hi, everyone, and welcome to Transforming Financial Intelligence with FactSet Structured and Unstructured Data and Delta Sharing. FactSet was featured in last year's keynote at the Databricks Summit for our internal use of Databricks, and we're really excited to be here today to talk about how we're now partnering and collaborating with Databricks to build solutions for our clients. So before we begin, just a quick forward-looking statement. Everything that we're going to go through today is for informational purposes only. So just a quick disclaimer I'm sure you've seen in some of the other sessions. So I'll jump in with introductions. My name is Kristen Clark. I'm a principal product manager at FactSet, and I manage the strategy for the global distribution of FactSet's content in the cloud, including cloud vendors and platforms like Databricks. And I'm joined by Keon, who I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming to our session today. I'm Keon, I'm a solutions architect at Databricks. I've been at Databricks for around 4 years, based in New York, and have been working with Kristen and the FactSet team for around 2 years now. So we'll just cover a quick agenda for today. So we're really excited for the talk. We're gonna split up the content in 2 parts today. First, Kristen's gonna talk about the amazing work that FactSet has done to make FactSet's structured data available directly to Databricks via Delta Sharing and the Databricks Marketplace. And we're really excited about that to enable supporting client workflows super easily on Databricks. Then we're gonna talk a little bit more about what's coming next in terms of sharing AI-ready data. So we're really excited about this, and we'll wrap up with a quick demo.
Awesome. So I'm going to kick us off with who is FactSet. So for those who don't know, FactSet is a digital platform and financial data company. And we have over 40 years of experience providing solutions to our clients in the investment community globally. And a big part of FactSet's strategy is around how we think about using advancements in technology, especially around cloud and AI, to enhance our clients' workflows. So, a lot of that, client-driven attitude that we have is looking to enhance and meet our users' growing requirements, and how we think about building out solutions on our workstations, so our front-end application, as well as getting data and solutions to our clients directly in the tools that they're using, like Databricks. So what kind of data do we have to offer? FactSet has a comprehensive inventory of connected data, so through client data, proprietary data, as well as third-party content. We have over 35 structured data sets that we have available, from our core data through event-driven content, market and macroeconomic information, as well as our alternative content, everything that you can see here on the slide. So we mentioned today's focus is around our structured data, but also unstructured data as well. So FactSet has filings information, investment research, news, transcripts. So we have a really huge amount of content that we're able to provide the buy and sell side. And we can get that to our users through flexible distribution channels, whether that be through APIs or cloud. And what we started to hear more from our clients from the cloud perspective was we really are looking for a way to natively get FactSet's data into the Databricks ecosystem. So we're really happy to share that we have Delta Sharing available today for all of FactSet's structured data. I actually attended the Databricks Summit last year to talk with users around what they were looking for from a partnership between FactSet and Databricks, and got a ton of demand and feedback for this native integration to help support the downstream workflows that our clients were looking for. I want to touch a little bit about what we've built, where we're thinking about in the future, and really why we decided to build out this integration. So FactSet data from the structured perspective is available today to hook in via Delta Sharing into the Databricks ecosystem for use within all these different downstream workflows. And we have clients leveraging this data in production today. What we're thinking about next is how we share unstructured data and AI-ready information so that we can take our clients from what they'd like to do now to where they're looking to grow within the Databricks platform. I want to focus in on the structured data, though, and why we decided to build out this integration. So we heard from our users that they were looking for that more streamlined approach of accessing the data. So they wanted to take our content directly in the tools where they were consuming content and be able to start building into different solutions and leverage the scalability that the Databricks platform has to offer for our AI/ML use cases, and then also from the data governance perspective. So having all of this data hooked into Unity Catalog is really what ultimately is going to help drive decisions faster with our content. I want to jump into an actual client use case and workflow. So we worked with a financial services firm to enhance their investment research by integrating FactSet data. So this was a team that was looking to go through a lakehouse redesign of all of their content. They were moving over to Unity Catalog and had another provider that they had to get their content via API and try to hook up into Databricks. And we're dealing with some data quality issues, some concerns with latency of accessing and onboarding that data, and ultimately came to FactSet to understand the different types of data we could provide and go forward with accessing and onboarding that data more efficiently. So we were able to implement a solution via DeltaShare, which we launched in April of this year, and really get them onboarded with access to the data so much quicker. In addition, we were able to provide Jupyter notebooks so the team could actually discover the underlying content, and they could benefit from that quick access to the data. So the DeltaShare has that expedited information that allows them to start interacting with the content very quickly, as well as facilitating, dynamic investment strategies using FactSet data on Databricks. And we got communication from them that they had quick ROI because they were able to get this data in front of the entire enterprise. So they chose Databricks to be able to break down those silos and not have to worry about how they get data to the rest of the firm, and then could leverage that governance and Unity Catalog to better understand how the users were interacting with the data so they could make sure to get the most out of that FactSet integration. So this really streamlined their investment workflow and allowed us to be a partner with them on their data and AI strategy. So one of the benefits that we're seeing is our customers trust that we're with them on this path, that we're growing with them, and that we're building into new technology and solutions. So it allowed us to continue working with that customer as they're now thinking about taking FactSet's data and hooking that into various different AI workflows as well. So that's just one client who had benefited from the larger benefits of Delta sharing, and we're hearing this across the board from a lot of the users we talked to. Another client I spoke to was taking an on-premise workflow and trying to test out Databricks and Delta share with FactSet data, communicated that it took 2 days prior to get all of the data in, and went from a 2-day solution to minutes using the Delta share solution. So we're able to provide our users with a really seamless data delivery solution and get intraday updates to FactSet content. So we're providing a zero-copy share of that data. Our clients don't have to persist the data on their side. They can interact with the content that we're sharing directly, and it's going to give them that faster time to insight. They get instant access to the data with no ETL required, and this was a really big part of the feedback that we started to hear from users. They didn't want to have to manage all these different complex pipelines of getting the data in, and that's where the Delta sharing solution really comes into play, because they can start thinking about how to optimize their time to insights and get much more onboarded with the various different investment strategies they were looking to accomplish. So now we're thinking more than just sharing that structured data, and the benefits of Delta sharing from the FactSet perspective is we can start to partner with our clients on what they're looking for the future. So how we approach sharing unstructured content, potentially models in the future, Jupyter notebooks for better discoverability. And one of the more recent enhancements that we're actually really excited to roll out is embedding schema metadata information directly within the tables that we're providing to our users. So this is just a sneak preview of what's coming out later this month, but we're really, really excited to share that this is going to allow our users to boost discoverability and have better usability within GenAI. It's starting to make our data much more AI friendly because our users can start to get an understanding of FactSet content right from the jump. They don't have to go into various different PDFs or user guides to start understanding what content they have access to. It takes them from that access to insights so much quicker. So we're really excited to have this one come out. It's the #1 requested enhancement that we've actually gotten from users since we launched our Delta sharing solution. So I want to shift gears for a second and talk about how we're thinking about sharing AI-ready data. So that embedded schema kind of gets us more AI-friendly. And as we move forward into the future, we want to take the content, the solutions that we're building internally, and start putting together actual AI-ready data sets and solutions that we can share directly to our users. So thinking more about the big picture, we want to talk about how we're thinking about our users taking FactSet data to fuel GenAI-powered workflows as well. So we already talked about all of the content that we have from a core structured data to unstructured data side and the various different flexible distribution channels that we can offer, from APIs to cloud delivery. And I want to talk about the big picture and strategy that FactSet has around how we're thinking about approaching these GenAI-powered workflows. So we started out with providing services to our clients. So we have a conversational platform. It's powered by FactSet Mercury, which is going to leverage our own homegrown AI solutions that we've built as part of solutions our clients can access in our workstation or via API. So we have been differentiating in the AI space for how we're starting to build out these AI services. Moving forward into data, we can take all of this structured and unstructured data, provide that to our clients as a GenAI package, or to be able to use this data for AI model training from a licensing perspective. But we want to do more than just that. So for cloud delivery, that's where we started thinking about embedding the schema information, getting our users onboarded with more AI-friendly information so they can start to discover and use it within different workflows, like within Genie in Databricks, for example. But what's coming next is what we're really, really excited about. So we have AI-ready data assets that we're building internally, and we're thinking strategically about how we share that content to our users within various different cloud platforms, including Databricks. So I'm going to zoom in on the vectorized data service. We're thinking about semantic layer in cloud as well, but I want to focus on the vectorized data piece specifically for unstructured data and unstructured documents, because this is really where we're seeing our users spending a lot of their time and effort to try and figure out how to solve for this challenge, and FactSet wants to come in and break that down for them. We're always consistently thinking about how we can solve the challenges our users are going through. So let's break down the vectorized data service piece a bit more. I want to talk about the challenge with making your data AI ready. So AI systems don't natively think about documents the way that you or I do. So we can't provide them with a 10K, a transcript, hand it into an AI LLM and say, hey, give me a response to a question that I'm asking. So they think in tokens. So the data has to be broken down into much smaller chains of data, run through a statistical analysis to manipulate that data, and then have it be able to be fed through the LLM so it can provide a response. So now we're thinking about, instead of providing just the unstructured data to our users, how do we process that unstructured data before we get it to clients into a format that they can run through LLMs to read and search on the data? So this is called vectorization. And so now we need to prepare our data in a way that the AI can think about it. So this is something that FactSet's already working on today as part of our search intelligence platform in that FactSet Mercury tool, so that conversational solution that we've already built for our AI services today. But I want to break down the effort that really goes into document vectorization and what we've been working on. So let's say we have a 10K filing, for example. In order to prepare that data in a way that the AI system can think about it, you have to go through a few different processes. So you have to parse the data, chunk it or break it down into much smaller pieces that the LLM can understand, embed it, so run each of those chunks through an algorithm that then creates a vector or a numerical representation of that data, and finally apply indices on top of it that can really allow the LLM to better think about the content and go through a response process whenever you ask a question on the data. So this is kind of the main process that has to be done. Even though on this screen here it looks pretty simple, there's a lot of work that goes into the actual breaking down of that unstructured content. And then you have to take all of that data, store it in a database alongside those chunks and some additional metadata so that you can really make sense of all of that content and run it through and get a response that actually makes sense from the question that you're asking. And FactSet has spent a ton of time going through the R&D for choosing the right chunking and embedding strategy depending on the different types of documents that are available. So we're thinking about this to start with filings, with transcripts, and our own street account news data. But going into the future, we're going to expand that into other solutions as well. And we understand that it's really difficult to run through this process. There's a lot of overhead that goes into running this process anytime you need to build out a new solution or a new content set to be made available. So I want to talk about addressing this challenge and ultimately what FactSet's thinking about for the future. So we understand that our clients need to go through this process of vectorization in order to be able to leverage unstructured data with FactSet's, within an a GenAI system rather. So the solution that we're proposing is to leverage our expertise in what we've done for all of that R&D, creating solutions in AI services, and provide an actual vector database to our clients so that they can work with the AI-ready data and won't have to focus on building that entire vectorization strategy themselves. So we understand maybe not every client's going to be looking for us to provide those vector embeddings. So we have the optionality for our users to take our content as unstructured data as well. So we want to be able to provide both ends of the spectrum. We can give that unstructured data to our users as well as provide the actual vector databases to them so that they can go from being able to plug that data directly into their AI systems. And I think the impact of what we're proposing there is that our users could benefit from no longer needing to go through that overhead of having to vectorize the data themselves. We have a proven chunking and refined embedding strategy that we've worked on today, and this is really where we're wanting to take our data to the next level and provide those AI-ready data assets to our clients. So what we're thinking about in the future is more of a unified vector data service. So I mentioned we've done a proof of concept around our unstructured data today. We have taken all of the we've done the document vectorization, we've put that data into a vector database, and we've actually shared that with Databricks via Delta sharing. Thinking bigger picture, we want to focus on enriching that data as well as providing more connectivity on top of the data, so providing entity mappings, themes, unstructured knowledge graph, and breaking this out beyond just the street account, news, filings, and transcripts data so that we can provide a way for our users to access this content in Databricks via Delta sharing, via APIs, and starting out with the document vectorization is really where we're thinking about how we can start making our data more AI ready. So like I mentioned, we have a proof of concept available today of how to access this information, share it via Delta sharing, and Keon's going to come up and showcase a really amazing demo with all of that content so that our users, so that you in the audience can see some of what we've been working on. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. So really excited to talk a little bit more about how FactSet is helping to power really important use cases in financial services, especially related to AI. First, just want to talk about a few major trends that we're seeing in the financial services industry, and some of these hopefully will resonate with the folks here, but also these trends are very applicable to outside of the financial services industry as well. And just starting at the bottom, the first is that most of our customers are adopting a lakehouse-based architecture, right? That means that they're centralizing their data storage in their cloud data lakes. That means both structured and unstructured data can live in the same environment and can be used downstream from many different types of applications. So with Databricks on top as your lakehouse data and AI platform, the next major trend that we're seeing is the one in yellow, the firm-wide data hub, right? This means that most of our customers are looking to centralize their governance layer and provide access to all of the breadth of data that they have in their cloud data lake with fine-grained governance, also enabling self-service discoverability. So where this becomes really important, though, is for most of our customers that are buy sides or sell sides, for example, or really any large organization, there's many downstream LOBs. There's just a few here, like investment banking, sales and trading, risk, who are all leveraging the same data that we have in Unity Catalog in our data lake, right? And at the top, really, where most of these lines of business want to go, just to simplify it, is they want to build self-service analytics, they want to build their own applications, and ultimately they want to build GenAI chatbots, right? So where FactSet comes in is they're helping to make it as easy as possible to ingest third-party data into your data lake and leverage it for these downstream applications. So let's talk a little bit about that AI layer, right, and how we see it being leveraged in financial services today. So really, we're seeing a large amount of adoption for AI use cases for things like portfolio advisor chatbots, news filings, transcript summarization. Really, most users in Databricks can take advantage of built-in AI features in Databricks, like AI BI, Genie, for example, and you can get direct insights without having to code in Databricks itself, and I'll show a demo of that later. But where this becomes really cool is just enabling our non-technical users, like our traders, our salespeople, our analysts, to be able to get the same GenAI-powered insight outside of the Databricks UI. And where this all comes together is when we combine the power of our own first-party data, like our portfolio, our risk factors, with third-party data that we're getting from providers like FactSet, for market data, unstructured data as well. This really provides end-to-end breadth of AI insight that you can get for your non-technical users downstream. And that's exactly how FactSet is helping to power some of these use cases, right? Faster time to insight through leveraging FactSet's core structured data like estimates, fundamentals, pricing that they're delivering through Delta Sharing today, available on our marketplace, and what we're looking forward to in the future with FactSet's unstructured data that is already, they're doing a lot of the hard work for us, especially like as engineers. We can focus on building the GenAI applications, not so much about worrying about building the embeddings themselves, right? FactSet's doing that heavy lifting for us for things like news, filings, transcripts. When they Delta share it over, it all appears in the same way that your first-party data would appear in Unity Catalog, and we can really commingle both our third-party data and our first-party data and leverage it inside or outside of Databricks. So before we go to the demo, I just want to set the stage here with essentially what we're going to show an example of. So what we all strive to achieve for our business users is for them to just ask their question through a simple prompt and submit it through an AI, Agentic AI application, right? And also, at Databricks, we're very agnostic as to the type of model they want to leverage, right? We don't want to, burden you with the type of foundation model that you want to choose. You can use the latest and greatest Anthropic models. You can use open source models like what Meta and Llama have to offer, right? The important part here is that when that prompt is submitted, the user will have full access to multiple different types of data, right? First-party and third-party data. And we'll show an example of FactSet's estimates data, filings, and then I'll combine it with first-party data like positions. All right, perfect. Ready for a demo? OK, so let's go to our Unity catalog. Let's look at a catalog that I have called KS FactSet Demo. All right, perfect. So I have a couple of schemas in here. Let me make this a little bigger. So first I want to just highlight the FactSet vector data that's being sent to us, right? So this is the format that FactSet sent us some sample data for. I think this is for like 1 week's worth of filings. So you can see they have chunked out the data for us, and this is the format that it would be Delta shared in. So it's super easy. They have the headlines broken out. They have the content parsed out as well. And then the coolest part, at the end, they have the embeddings for us, right? So now, how do we use it? What do we do? We can go to Create, and we can click on Vector Search Index, and I could give it a name, but I'm just going to choose primary key, chunk ID. We're going to sync all the columns. I'm going to use the existing embedding column. That would be embedding. Put in the dimension, and then I have a vector search endpoint here that I could use, right? So I've already done this, but this is as easy as it is, right? We can just do all this through the UI, put it in our vector search index that's available directly in Databricks, and then we can use it as part of a AI framework, right? So I'm going to use this in just a second. First, I also want to look at the FactSet estimates data. Also just want to highlight as well, this should be coming to everyone soon, the FactSet metadata that's also part of the data that they're going to be Delta sharing for the columns. And this is really nice because if I look at, FactSet estimates, of course, everyone wants to use it, right? When we want to give this data to a AI model, the AI model might not know what FE, underscore FP end is. And to be totally honest, I don't know what that is. So the metadata that they're providing for the column is super helpful, right? So that's going to help the AI model as well. And I could look at some sample data here. So we have estimates for a ton of different types of instruments, right? OK, lastly, we have a sample table that I built just to represent some portfolio data. Don't laugh at me, but I'm sure that you guys have something much more sophisticated than this. But I have symbols and number of shares, right? Perfect. So now I want to use all this combination of data as part of a RAG framework. So how do we go about doing that? So I'm going to go to the playground. If you guys aren't familiar with the AI playground, it's a great way to just test out a few different types of foundation models. And what's really cool is we can also add tools. So I'm going to do that now. You could use awesome models from Claude. I'm going to use the Llama model here. And it's tools enabled, which is great. I'm going to use the endpoint. Now I'm going to add the structured data as tools. So I'm going to add the estimates data. Perfect. And then I'm going to add the position data as well. And then lastly, I'm going to add the vector index. All right, perfect. So that's as easy as it is, right? So we're going to use the Meta Llama 3.3 70B model. And I'm just going to ask it some questions. So let's ask it, what are a few biotech companies that mentioned risk factors in their filings? So what's really cool is now the model is going to go and tell me that it's looking at the FactSet vectors data that we provided, right? And it's going to give me a few different suggestions. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, perfect. So really what I want to do now is keep drilling in. So it suggested that I asked it, what are a few biotech companies that mentioned risk factors in their filings? It used the FactSet vector data to find a few that mentioned it. So I'm going to pick on this one, SAB Biotherapeutics. I know nothing about this company. I'm also not suggesting that you do anything with this information. So take that. So let's ask it, what are the risk factors for mentioned in the filings? So it's scanning the FactSet vector data again, and it's giving me more detailed information about the risk factors that were mentioned in the filings. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go one step further and ask it, what were the latest FactSet, FactSet estimates for, let me copy the name, SAB Biotherapeutics. So now it's going to go and check the structured table, right, that I added as a tool, and it's pulling the information from the FactSet estimates data, right? And we can continue leveraging this, essentially. Let's take it one step further and ask it a question that it'll need to scan my first-party data for. So how many shares of do I hold? So now it's telling me directly from the first-party data, I own 2,380 shares, right? And just so you don't have to watch me type, I'm going to copy and paste a prompt. And let's take this one step further with a prompt that should combine all three. Based on the risk factors, latest estimates, and the shares I own of SAB Biotherapeutics, what is a strategy for my salespeople and traders, right? So what's really nice is that it has the context, it uses all three, it's giving me some advice here, right, based on all of the data that it's scanning. So with this, your first question might be, we're never going to get our salespeople or traders to get into the Databricks UI and use this AI playground, but it looks cool. So for that, we don't expect them to get into the Databricks UI either. So we can just click on Get Code and create an agent notebook. So what's really cool about this is that the notebook itself is packaging up everything that we need for us to deploy this agentic framework with the tools included to a model serving endpoint. So you can see here it's using the tools that I provided, all three. And at the very end, if I ran this end to end, it would deploy this model for me with the tools on a model serving endpoint. Now, what can we do with the model serving endpoint? We can make this AI agent available from anywhere. We can make it available from a REST API call. Or we can take it even one step further and build an app on top of this, right? So we really want our non-technical users to leverage this type of insight from outside of the Databricks UI, right? So let me find my slides again. And by the way, if you're curious, I also ran this same prompts with the latest Claude models. And this is really cool and why we're super excited to have the Claude, the Anthropic ecosystem available in Databricks as well. The responses from Anthropic are really, really cool, especially from Sonnet 4. They support the same tools. I just didn't want, these responses take a little bit longer to generate, but they give you, you can see the reasoning capabilities for Claude 4. All right, so now to wrap us up, I want to show a quick example of an app you can build in Databricks and host wherever you want. So this is going to be an example of a Streamlit app that my friend Antoine helped create. So what's really nice here is that we're just looking at this from an iPhone, right? You can get this type of insight from anywhere. What's really cool as well is that you can see he unselected the portfolio information, right? So your governance of your underlying tables are still respected. So when you ask it how many shares of IO Biotech do I hold, it's going to provide a response saying something like, I don't have access to that information, which is what we want it to respond like, right? Now, next, we're going to go click back on that portfolio data and ask it the same question again, and it should generate a response for us. It's going to say, you hold 300 and something shares of IO Biotech, right? Same thing on the other side with the panel. We have the sample of FactSet filings information. If we had news and transcripts as well, we could just check those boxes and include all that data as part of the model's responses. And the backend model for this one is Claude. You can see as it goes through, it's also telling you, we can ask it some super specific sciencey question for this biotech company, and it's telling you it's doing its reasoning, it's going to generate a response for you, it's also going to give you the same trace, and it's going to show you like how it generated this information, right? It's telling you that it's pulling from your various tools, for example. So hopefully this shows a really cool end-to-end way of leveraging both FactSet structured and unstructured data. With just a few clicks, we can create an agentic AI framework and also combine it with our first-party data like positions, risk factors, any other additional first-party data that we might have, and make this ultimately available to our non-technical users outside the Databricks UI. Perfect. So with that, Kristen and I both want to collectively thank a huge amount of people behind the scenes at FactSet and Databricks who helped make this possible. So thank you all.